It's January 18th, 2012, the Black Web Day. I thought about doing just a black screen with maybe some titles today in support of all the anti-SOPA protests that were going on. You know, Wikipedia went dark, Google blocked out its logo, Flickr had photos blocked, other sites were dark as well. But in the end, I decided to go ahead and make a video, although it is really late in the day. It's almost 6 o'clock. My reasoning is that this video is less about people watching it today, sorry everybody watching, and more about the documentation of the year so that I can, at some point in the future, look back at what happened in 2012. Not to say I don't love you if you're watching it on January 18th, 2012. I'm doing this for me. I'm selfish that way. Yeah, it was big publicity around the efforts to get rid of SOPA. I think Sydney's going to attack the camera. I wish you could see this. Yeah, so getting a lot of publicity. I even saw a report late in the day that some Senate servers were taken down by all of the anti-SOPA messages that the senators were getting from the constituents. And I think that's great. I think SOPA is a really bad idea. And whatever the Senate bill is called, I can't remember. I question whether the U.S. government has any business regulating this stuff. The internet is an international thing. It knows no boundaries. Content that I put up on my server here in the U.S. is equally available all around the world, and that's the way it should be. So I think the U.S. is overstepping its bounds. Imagine that, the U.S. trying to tell the rest of the world what to do. SOPA bothers me not just because of the provisions in the bill that seem draconian at best, but also the way that Congress has gone about implementing this. You know, there were coverage of the hearings on C-SPAN where it was clear the people who were supposed to be writing this legislation, who are voting on it, have no idea what the technology is that they're regulating. They don't get it, and they don't care. Congress has abdicated any responsibility here. You should just leave well enough alone. You're fucking things up. That doesn't mean I think piracy is a good thing. I believe in copyright. I believe in paying for the content that I watch and enjoy. I believe in paying the musicians and the actors and directors and writers and other artists who create this stuff. The vast majority of what's in my iTunes is completely legal stuff I've paid for. I feel like it's almost everything. I'm not going to say everything because there might be something that came from somewhere, who knows, years ago. There are two notable exceptions that I'll get to in a minute. And I think it's really important that you do pay for the movies, the music, the TV that you watch. Whether you actually buy the program or whether you sit in front of your TV set and watch the commercials. You know, you listen to the commercials when you're playing Pandora or whatever. Paying is important. The people who make this stuff deserve to get paid. You know, I fall into that category. I make my living doing this kind of stuff, so I want to be paid. There are two cases specifically that I'm thinking about where there's content that I enjoy, that I love, that has been made available in some markets but not in the U.S. And when that sort of thing happens, to me, it's a holdover from an old way of doing business. It's companies that don't understand the way the internet works. They don't get that the world has become a single market. There's a musical artist named Cullum who I adore. I've purchased all of his albums. I have gone to his shows. You know, if he showed up here in San Francisco, I would hand him money. I enjoy hearing his music so much. His last album was released in the UK, I think it was in November 2009. I may have the dates wrong, but it was essentially towards the end of a year. But it wasn't released in the US for another 4 or 5 months. It was released in April of 2010. Why? Because the US record company wanted to time the record release to coordinate with the beginning of his North American tour, so they would increase sales. Dumb, old way of working. Yeah, that might have worked back before digital distribution came into effect, but no more, not for people like me who are super fans. You know, I knew the record was out in the UK, so I got on a file sharing site and I downloaded it so I could hear it 4 or 5 months before it was released in the US. Why should I have to wait? But at the same time, I pre-ordered the US album, the premium version of it, so I paid extra. And when it was released in April, that's what I started listening to. It was the official US release. I happily, I want him to have money. I want him to be able to keep making music. When he came on tour to San Francisco, I bought tickets, I went to the show. I've purchased his videos. Like I said, I'd happily if I saw him on the street, I would give him money. I love his music so much. So I don't feel guilty. I don't feel guilty that I went and got an early release version of this record, because the idea of waiting for it was totally artificial. It's the result of people who don't know how the world works today. And I don't see why we should have to put up with that. The other exception is also from the UK. It's a TV show called Top Gear. Best television program in the world, if you haven't seen it, by the way. It is shown on BBC Two twice a year in the winter, and there's a second series in the summer. BBC America does show Top Gear UK, but they don't show them in real time. They delay weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years, and they show edited versions, because Top Gear UK is an hour program. BBC America schedules it for an hour, but of course they've got to take 20 minutes out of the program so they can show commercials. So I subscribe to BBC America. I pay for the right to see Top Gear UK the way that I can here in the US, because real BBC is not available, which, by the way, I would pay for full BBC feed. If I could get all 4 BBC channels by paying extra for it to the cable company, I totally would, the same way I pay for HBO and Showtime. The programming is good. It's great. It's actually better than what we get here in the US. Most of the series in the US network television originate on BBC or other British networks. Little known secret. Hollywood goes to the UK and steals stuff all the time. BBC Two shows Top Gear. BBC America will show it weeks, months, years later in edited forms. I can download the original BBC versions unedited the same day they're aired or the day after. So that's what I do. When BBC America airs it, yes, I set the TiVo to record it so I can watch it with the commercials. I paid for the right to see it in the US. Therefore, I don't feel guilty about going and getting the version weeks or months before the American channel gets their act together. Don't feel guilty. Not going to stop doing it. My challenge is to BBC: make your content available to us. Let us pay you for it. All BBC content is available on iPlayer in the UK. They block access to it in the US. Why? I'll buy the application in the App Store. I will pay a subscription to be able to watch your stuff. Why won't you take my money? I don't get it. But these activities would be illegal under SOPA. I understand that. And that's not right. There are other problems with SOPA. Lots and lots of problems with SOPA. So I'm glad it appears to be dying. I think it's great that Wikipedia seems to have led the effort against it today. And I'm really happy about that. Another reason to oppose SOPA: it's supported by the MPAA and the RIAA, 2 organizations that I think are just pure evil. Anything that those 2 organizations get behind, I oppose, unquestionably. I feel like the music industry, the movie industry, you're causing your own problems. You are your own worst enemy. The record industry, the movie industry, you cling to outdated ways of working because of greed, because of stupidity. And I'm not being flip when I say the people who work in the music industry, the people who work in the entertainment industry are stupid. I'm not talking about the artists themselves. I'm talking about the executives. I've worked for you people. You've been my clients. I know how dumb you are. You're dinosaurs. You're gonna go away. Accept it. So, anti-SOPA day. Ooh, cats get to eat. Is that good food? You enjoying that? Not even gonna take the time to look at the camera, are you?